I did have one question, and this is about the comprehensive and progressive agreement for Trans-Pacific Partnership, which was recently initiated. Liz Truss mentioned that we were going to join. What's your views on that?
Well, I think it's absolutely the way we should be focusing. You know, our trade with the countries that are members of the CPTPP has gone up by 8% per annum every year since 2016. And our trade with the EU is decreasing. The growth in the globe is in that region. You know, Southeast Asia, Australia, Japan, and also obviously Africa and South America. These are the regions where we should be using our British trading flair to establish relationships, because that's where the growth is. The growth ain't in Germany, I mean, you know, or France. They're up against it. So yeah. I think Liz Truss is a brilliant, by the way. I think she's done a superb job. You know, she's actually picked up whatever challenge she was given, and she's made a real success of it. And I think it's terrific what she's been up to, and it's a kind of backdoor arrangement, from what I can understand, potentially, you know, entering into an agreement with the US as well.
Yeah, absolutely, and I agree wholeheartedly what you say about our Trade Secretary Liz Truss. I think she's been certainly one of the best performers in this government, if not the best. I think she's certainly a future leader of the Conservative Party, and I'd really like to see her there one day. I've got a lot of time for her. And of course, the trading agreement that we're talking about there, it is purely a trading bloc rather than a political machine, a political bloc, which the EU initially set out to be a trading bloc in the EEC, and it slowly became more political as the years went by, and we ended up in where we are today. And I don't think that would be the future of that. But what are your thoughts on an agreement such as CANZUK?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely, absolutely. That's, you know, our heritage. But a number of those countries are in CPTPP.
Yeah.
You know, and I mean, the notable exception, I suppose, is India, isn't it? And we should trade with India. I suspect, you know, the Indian trade relationship is not as valuable to us potentially as the CPTPP one, because as big as the Indian market is, you know, it's still a relatively poor nation. And you know, when we do trade arrangements like this, we've got to be quite careful not to be inadvertently putting British jobs at risk by exporting them to countries like India, where they don't have the same employment protections, minimum wage, etc., etc. But the CPTPP, you know, is a block of advanced, rapidly growing countries. They're perfect partners for the United Kingdom.
There's been talks about the Chancellor raising corporation tax. It was in the Times this morning that it could go up to 24% by the end of Parliament. And it was in the Daily Telegraph the other week that it could go up to potentially 22.5% by the end of 2021. What are your thoughts on corporation tax, and has corporation tax seen its day and possibly be replaced by a corporate sales tax?
Yeah, well, I mean, you know, the world has become increasingly more online, which I think is the direction of your question, isn't it, Ethan? How do you get an economic, how do you get an equitable economic charge on online traders? I think sales taxes are demanding because they prohibit trade. You know, I'm against taxes on turnover, as I just mentioned, because I think they prohibit trade. The cost of those taxes tend to be passed on to consumers. So I think taxes on profit are the way forward, because you can only pay when you've earned. I think raising corporation tax, frankly, is a complete red herring right now. Raising or cutting it is a red herring, because corporations aren't making profit. You know, with the exception of the online traders, your more traditional businesses are under real pressure. It's not about corporation tax. You can put it up as much as you like or cut it as much as you like. You're not going to generate a massive amount for the exchequer, and you're not going to lose a lot, because once the government stimulus is removed, you're going to find that the private sector is making a big loss at the moment. What the private sector needs is a boost to growth through cutting taxes on the activity of doing business, say cutting taxes on turnover and cutting taxes on just the occupation of property and stuff like that. And so I'm slightly repeating myself, but you're absolutely right, Ethan. We do need to tax online companies in a more equitable fashion. Boohoo and ASOS collectively, I think, paid 40 million in corporation tax last year.
Only.
And Arcadia, which they've just bought the business of in Debenhams, paid in aggregate 400 million in business rates, and they employed 5,000 people. So they probably paid about, I'm just guessing, about 40 million in PAYE. So the exchequer has just lost 440 million of revenue to Boohoo and ASOS, who pay 40 million a year in tax. And remember that the 5,000 people who've been made redundant by Arcadia and Debenhams are now going to need government support.
Yeah.
So that, you know, you've gone from the revenue receiving 440 million a year to actually now having to pay out 100 million a year in support. It's a pendulum shift of 500 million.
Yeah.
And it's all enriching the online traders. So there's got to be I haven't got the answer for this one. Greater minds will need to look at it, but there's got to be a serious attempt of making online businesses pay their equitable proportion of tax.